So, we talk about circumstances not mattering. Welcome to the channel. It's Allison. And we're going to talk all things Neville and Abraham Hicks if you haven't been here before. So, welcome. Okay, so we talk about circumstances not mattering. And that's true. But if we have to make them matter, let's use them to work for our benefit, right? If we're going to look at them, if we're going to judge them, then let's make them matter in the way that they serve us. One of my favorite stories about Jerry and Esther that Abraham tells is something I go back to again and again when experiencing a negative, to me, situation, and something that maybe I'm having trouble getting past is the time that Esther was dusting. They had this beautiful display etagere case with all glass shelves with all delicate knickknacks from their travels around the world. It was very beautiful. Esther was dusting, and she doesn't wear shoes in the house. She doesn't wear socks. She likes to walk in bare feet. So she was dusting in bare feet, dusting these beautiful things that they had accumulated over the years of their life together. And I think she lost her balance, and I don't know how, but like the whole thing came crashing down. That part I forget. The catalyst I forget. She must have lost her balance and dropped something, and the whole thing came crashing down. So it all became a mess of glass and broken trinkets. And Jerry, from a few rooms away, heard this, knew she wasn't wearing any shoes or socks, and said, "Don't move." And he came into the room. And he looked around at the mess of these trinkets all being broken and the glass and all of that. And he said, "Oh, good, something to buy." Now, this is the way to look at circumstances that don't serve us. If we're looking at them at all, right? And it's easy to look at them. It's a 3D. I can smell it, see it, taste it, touch it. Right? I can use my five senses all around it to give me evidence that this thing is not what I want when we're saying, when we're looking at a circumstance and trying to say it doesn't matter. But you can say, well, it matters in all these ways because I can sense it in all these ways. Well, that's true. But since it's changeable by you, and since any circumstance is already old news when you take into account the source or God part inside of us, we've already lined up with the improvement inside. And Jerry was very good at that. He was very good at lining up with his inner being, as Abraham would say, and just saw it as the positive thing. New experiences, new things to celebrate, new treasures to acquire. And so whenever I tiptoe or fall into something that is not what I want, I think of Jerry and I think, oh, good, something new to appreciate. Oh, good, on the other side of this circumstance is greater desire, because that's always the way it works. There is no regression. It gets bigger. It gets better if we allow it. So let's use an SP example, and let's say that, what should we do? What should we do that feels, quite terrible? Well, let's say we got blocked by an SP. Let's say that's what happened. So you could feel really shitty about that. Pardon my French. You could feel really upset about that. And you could feel, oh wow, they blocked me, so they don't care about me at all. Or you can use this to your advantage, and you can reframe it as Jerry did. That's all he did. It was a nice reframing that obviously is very impactful, because I don't know how many years ago it happened. He transitioned in 2011. It happened way before then. I've been telling the story since I ever first heard about it 7 or 8 years ago, because I think it's such an impactful statement of not letting circumstances matter, circumstances not mattering. Oh, more treasure to buy, right? The opposite of, oh, this cleaning up and we lost all these memories that were inside these treasures. Oh, we lost these treasures. No, it's something new to buy. It's a new experience to have. It's new adventures. So we get blocked by our SP. And instead of feeling bad about it, what's good about that? Well, I mean, the opposite of love is not hate, it's indifference. You know, what can we say? We can say, they are so enamored with me, but can't find their way to me right now, that they had to block me because they needed to stop thinking about me so much and how they wanted to get back into my life, right? We could do that. We could make it so big for them to have that option to contact when they're not ready to do it because they don't know how to apologize, or they don't know how to bridge the gap of what we were to what we want to become. And they know that they want it all. They want to be official. They want to be, they want to be on the road to commitment, and they want all those things, and they want to build a life with us. But they blocked because they couldn't face their feelings, right? We can say that. And then on the other side of it, if you're in this space a lot, you know how important and gorgeous no contact is. And there are a lot of people that end up having a break from someone before they get back together better than ever. A lot of people. And so we can remind ourselves, oh, well, this just means that, yeah, okay, so this means I get a period of no contact. I get to build inside myself and maintain the steadiness I need to bring this into fruition, to have a better life. Anytime that there is a setback, it is a chance to improve. And setbacks are really just data. So we don't have to judge that data, no shame or condemnation. We get to let it be data and let it be a jumping off point for a new commitment to persisting, for a new opportunity to solidify what we really want and really get our butts focused there. This is a focus game. All this stuff is a focus game. So it's all up to us. And I can tell you with absolute uncertainty, no, definitely not that, absolute certainty, that it gets easier the more you do it. So let's make this about focus. Let's make this about expansion. Because anytime something happens that doesn't sit well with us, that's just contrast. That's just an opportunity to take that event, soothe ourselves, reaffirm to ourselves what we absolutely do know, that everything is always working out for us, that we can be, do, or have anything we want, and go forward after that experience with the knowledge that everything we want is already ours. The kingdom of heaven is within. It is our Father's good pleasure to give it to us. And being that God part of us inside of ourselves, we just have to give it to ourselves. It's all we have to do. That's all we have to do. It's all we have to do is give it to ourselves. So anytime that stuff happens out there, do whatever you have to do to come back to neutral, right? When we dip, we just come back to neutral first. Neutrality is where it begins, because it doesn't begin down here, because that can be a place where we're susceptible to go lower, right? Like law of attraction, like attracts like. A negative thought will attract another negative thought if we give it attention, if we give it our focus. So we just have to practice not giving those things our focus. And the easiest way to do that is to give our focus to something new, right? When we turn away from something, we're still kind of looking at that thing. That's why we have all these crazy love songs where, someone is hurt and damaged and they're saying, I'm moving on from you. But it's like, but you wrote the song about me. So have you moved on? Not really, right? So we're not doing that. No, we're going to go forward and we're going to reframe it every time and say, each time I move forward from what I was before to what I want to become, I get stronger and it gets easier. And it gets easier to do. And it takes less time to move up the emotional scale. And it takes less time to soothe myself. And it takes less time to get back into my intuition, to feel for what feels like right action, and to feel like, right, no matter what, anytime I want, I can use my imagination for good. I can use imagination, God's playground, for good. It just takes focus. It just takes persistence. It just takes consistency. Focus, consistency, and persistence are your watchwords in order to take the power away from circumstances that you don't like. I was experiencing something last week, and I heard the old story, and I heard the thoughts that joined the old story that were trying to give that old story its credibility and its evidence. And I was in there for about an hour thinking, okay, I'm making this decision to protect myself and to walk away and to forget this thing. But then I was like, right, that is just giving validation to the old story. Gross. No, don't do it. Just don't do it. Do instead something that feels satisfying, because the old story doesn't feel satisfying. The old story just feels familiar. So we just have to make what we really want more familiar. So one thing that helps me is when I am in a very intuitive, good feeling place, is to make a couple of statements kind of a default for me so that I can pull them out, pardon me, when something feels like it's not going well, and I can pull them out. And I've been doing this for years. I did this without even realizing it before I started this work years ago. I had big case of imposter syndrome in my work, and I just felt like everyone was judging my work and thinking I wasn't good enough. So I literally had to say to myself, you're good at your job. And I said it over and over and over again as I did my work, because I felt a little helpless in those complaints from other people and those judgments of other people, because at that time I really did care what they think, what they thought. And I really did hang my hat on what other people thought about me as a people pleaser. And, when we're young, it's easy to be that because we don't know any better yet. We aren't able to stand yet on our own 2 feet. We haven't built that up. So if you are, a lot younger and new to this work, like if you're in your 20s or your teens and you're new to this work, just give yourself a ton of grace, because I had none of this stuff when I was growing up. It would be a long time before I got even an inkling of all of this. So if you are getting all of this, just be kind to yourself, because you are going to want, acceptance from others. And that just, of course, stems from when we grew up with our parents. We had to follow their rules. We needed their appreciation, love, and consideration. And we needed clothing, food, and shelter from them, because we couldn't give it to ourselves. And as you're transitioning now into being able to give it to yourself, you get to have more autonomy, and you can make more decisions from a place of stability, because they're not doing everything for you anymore, right? So if you are younger and you're watching this, just be kind to yourself, okay? Just be kind to yourself on the journey, because this is a lot of big, fat information. It took me a long time to get my handle on it. And I already had stability in other areas just due to experience, right? Just to being on the planet for a little bit longer and having had paid rent and X and Y and Z. So just be kind to yourself if you are in that demographic. And I mean, in any demographic, be kind to yourself no matter what, because we're going to be expanding at 80, at 90, at 100. This doesn't stop. We don't get to a point where we're done and then we just sit around and enjoy the fruits of all of our labors. No, we're always going to experience more. There will be opportunities to see something, negatively, let it take us down, have a knee-jerk reaction, and then, get a chance to be like, I'm not letting that stop me anymore. I'm going to go forward, that kind of thing, right? So again, kindness is the name of the game. And when we look at circumstances and we want to say circumstances don't matter, good if you can get there. And if you can't, then flip it and make them matter in a way that serves you no matter what. And then you're good. Either they don't matter, or no, that matters because of this. And tell the story, a temporary story, because it's not always going to look like that, but tell the temporary story that it matters right now, that it makes sense right now. Give your brain evidence of why it matters. All right? So circumstances don't matter, but if they feel like they do, here's a way around it. All right, thank you so much. Feel free to like and subscribe, and I'm going to do these daily until more work shows up for me, which it will, but I'm even going to try to do daily at that time too. I'm trying to prove to myself I can be consistent and prove to myself I can persist in making these videos and talking about these concepts that have served me and that I enjoy and that I have interest in and that I want to share with others and help them feel a little better going about their day in their world too. Maybe even really great, feeling really great in the world, All right. So let's go out there. Let's say circumstances don't matter, or let's make them matter, and let's make them matter in a way that serves us and discard the way that it didn't serve us. All right. We're going to go ahead and sign off and wishing you blessings. Here's to a glorious week whenever you're watching this. Have a good one.